Good morning, everybody. Welcome this morning to this Early Retirement and Redundancy Committee meeting on today, the Thursday, the 18th of September, 2025. I'd like to welcome all the members of the public who are watching the live stream today. We have just a quick reminder of the housekeeping at the start of the meeting. Can I remind everybody that this meeting is being live streamed as well as recorded via the internet, and this recording will be archived for future viewing. Could all participants please make sure that they've muted themselves when they're not speaking in order to avoid any background noise or feedback. If a member or a participant wishes to speak, please can you raise your hand using the raise hand function on screen, and we'll get the attention of the chair. If any participant has any difficulty hearing or being heard, then please contact us in Democratic Services and we'll try to assist you in order to carry on with the meeting. If you're happy for me to do so, Chair, I'll move on to agenda item 1, which is to appoint a vice chair. So could I ask the members of the committee if there are any nominations for that particular role, please? Councillor John.
Appoint Councillor Neil Thomas.
Thank you,
I appoint Councillor Neil Thomas.
Thank you, Councillor John. Can I have a second for that nomination, please?
I'm happy to second that.
Thank you very much. So I can confirm that Councillor Neil Thomas has been appointed to the role of Vice Chair for the Early Retirement and Redundancy Committee. Thank you very much, committee members.
I trust he will accept this role.
I certainly hope so, Chair.
Thank you very much, yes.
Many thanks. I'll hand over to you for the rest of the agenda items, Chair. Thank you.
Right. Item number 2 is apologies for absence. Do we have any apologies registered?
Thank you, Chair. None formally accepted for this meeting from Democratic Services, but I didn't know if anybody else had any that they needed to record today.
Right, okay then. Item number 3 is the minutes of the meeting held on the 18th of July 2025. The minutes are before you. Does any member wish to raise any matters arising from these minutes? No, I cannot see any hands, so I will move these as a true record. Can I have a seconder, please?
Seconded.
Thank you. Item number 3 is number 4 is to receive declarations of interest and the nature of such interest under the Council Code of Conduct. Does any member wish to make any declarations? But obviously this will be looked at again under part 2 after we advised of the names of the persons involved in the cases before us.
Yeah, that's correct. Thank you, Chair. There were no declarations of interest received prior to the meeting, but as you say, if there are any, we'll deal them under the individual items under part 2. Thank you.
Right. Item number 5 is a report from the Director of Corporate Resources, which if agreed will be amendment to the terms of reference of the Early Retirement and Redundancy Committee. I'll hand over to the officer who will take us through this report.
Thank you, Chair. I'm here today on behalf of the Director of Corporate Resources, just to run through the report around amending the terms of reference for the Early Retirement and Redundancy Committee. So in terms of the report, obviously as a committee, you're quite clear in terms of your terms of reference, in terms of your power to oversee and delegate, you're overseeing a great number of workforce changes relating to retirement and redundancy. And the proposal before you is very much in the proposal stage and just looking for committee consideration and comments, essentially. It's to remove the flexible retirement element from the committee's terms of reference, as this is largely managed within services, budget and capacity constraints before being considered by the committee, to allow the committee to focus upon early retirement, voluntary and compulsory redundancies. So if members can look through the paper, it's quite a brief paper. You'll see in terms of voluntary flexible retirement requests, they do make up a large number of your requests. So prior to this meeting, they made up approximately 59% of the requests that you have received this year to date. And as noted, flexible retirement, whilst there are provisions in place for it as an organisation already, and you are currently determining them on a case-by-case basis. Applications are considered on merit and with its financial and operational benefit to the council, and they're all considered on an individual basis by merit. So looking today to amend and looking for the committee's views on amending the terms of reference and changing the amending the officer delegations within the council's constitution so that flexible retirement requests can be delegated to heads of service and directors accordingly to be able to enable those requests to allow the committee to focus upon redundancy and early retirement. So it's very much here for the committee's views on the topic. It's not set in stone. It's just to very much consult and secure the committee's views surrounding this change today. And if there is agreement surrounding this change, it will be looking to be approved at full council in terms of amending the constitution to reflect the update in terms of the terms of reference. So that's it in terms of a brief overview. We'll say in terms of the technicalities, inevitably from a democratic services background, so we'll handle any pension technicalities by Learning's colleagues in HR and OD, who'll be able to handle any of the technical elements from that perspective. But yeah, hopefully that gives a bit of an overview from the constitutional element. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Does any member want any more clarifications on this proposal? Councillor Thomas first.
Yeah, with delegating this to officers rather than it coming to committee, there are elements within one of the applications I think before us today where the number of hours being requested to being dropped to is higher than the they want. I think they want to drop to 15 hours. As opposed to 22, whereas there has been provision within this committee that we have a limit to the amount that people can drop to, and I'm just wondering whether that is now going to be rewritten into the delegated powers, and whether that's going to be limited to the number of hours that they can drop to. So dropping to, I think previously we said down to 60% of their full-time hours, and now that it appears that it can be dropped to 40%. I'm just wondering whether anybody can comment on that, please.
I don't know who wants to comment on that. Leif, did you want to come in on that?
Yeah, if that's okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, okay, great. That's good. I had a bit of problems with my mic earlier, so that's good. I think as part of the flexible retirement scheme, I think all we say in the policy is that someone has to have a minimum reduction of 40% as part of their hours. So you're quite right. A lot of the time they do take that minimum 40%. It takes them from 37 down to 22 hours. It's not saying that they can't then actually take more than more than 40% reduction as in sort of this case. So I think so yeah, but so do we, is that percentage a 60% reduction? Is it down to 15 hours?
Yeah, roughly. Yeah,
roughly. Yeah. What we'll do, let me just double check to see if there is a again, we're talking about a minimum versus maximum, haven't we? Let me just see if I can get some clarity before we even get to that item, and then we can try and get that clarified for you.
Yeah, it's just my understanding was that we did have a limit of down to, but I could well be wrong.
Okay, that's fine. We'll double check. As you say, we don't normally. It doesn't come around very often, does it? Normally, it's always within the tolerance, isn't it, between the 40 and 60? So let me double check, and I'll come back to you.
While you're checking, Councillor Charles, do you want to make any comments?
Yes, please, Chair. Thank you. Yeah, I did have concerns on 2.3, 4, 5 and 6, actually. There's no period of time written in when staff will have to be replaced and stop earning a salary and receiving their council pension all at one time. And although I understand experienced staff that we're keeping on in that situation, and I think it's important, I also firmly believe that others should be trained to take over within a reasonable time, not years, as has been suggested when questioned on this committee before. So I'd like to see something written in there that if somebody wants to retire, but they want to stay on, and the officers want them to stay on because of their expertise, I think there should be a period of time when this can be allowed, because it's been, some people have got years, and I think having when I've asked before, they said, oh, maybe 2 years. I think that's too long to train somebody up for them to be receiving a pension alongside a salary as well. So I think some more training periods of time to bring other people on to replace them should be in there somewhere. And as I said, a period of time that this can only go on for. Does that make sense?
Thank you, Councillor. I don't know who wants to answer that. Lacey, you want to come back in on that?
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for the question. And again, it's something we're going to have to probably seek advice on, but I understand that based on, I suppose, any retirement now, we can't actually force anyone to retire. And I don't think we're allowed to actually put in timescales about how long someone wishes to take flexible retirement for. A lot of them will state, isn't it, whether it's 12 months, 2 years, or so on. And again, we've had cases again, haven't we, where it's been open-ended. But I think I'm pretty sure again legally we can't force an end date, just because again we can't force an end date on someone actually retiring. And like obviously what happened many years ago when people had to retire at the age of 65 and so on. Appreciate state pension age is now 67 and 68. People can work and on and on and on, can't they? And I think that's the same case again for flexible retirement requests. That even though they want to take flexible retirement, you can't force an end date sort of on that.
Councillor Charles, do you want to come back in on that?
Yes, please. I mean, I've read quite a lot on this policy, and I mean, flexible retirement for 2 years or 3 years, it just doesn't make sense to me. And I haven't read anywhere where this actually is the case, that you can't limit people. So perhaps we should think on the lines of if they want to leave, then they can leave, but to be able to let them work for 2 years on reduced hours while receiving their pension and their salary, it is nonsensical as far as I'm concerned. So I would like some more information and to see this written down somewhere.
Councillor Thomas, you had your hand up, but I don't know whether you wanted to come in.
I changed my mind. Lace can deal with this.
Right, okay.
I think she wanted to.
Sorry. Yeah, there we go. Thank you. And apologies if there's a bit of background noise. I think my mics are definitely playing up this morning. I'll hold it a bit closer to me. So that's right. What we will do, we will clarify to the committee what the actual rules are. But I do understand, again, most of the flexible retirements we do have specific end dates, and that suits the individuals and the and the organisation. However, if someone doesn't wish to put an end date, I don't think again we're legally sort of required to ask them to do that. But appreciate they are having a reduction in salary as part of that, which is part of the flexible retirement sort of process. So the council is making savings, and appreciate the pension comes out of the Cardiff and Vale pension pot that they're receiving, which is again separate to obviously the Vale sort of council salary sort of aspect. But yeah, but we can clarify that so everyone's clear on what that actually sort of means. But again, I don't think we can actually force someone to put an end date sort of on their flexible retirement request.
Councillor Charles, do you want to come back in?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Unfortunately, what's been happening in the meetings that we've been having.
My apologies,
is
Councillor
that-
Charles. We can't actually see you. We can hear you, but we can't see you currently. That's wonderful.
Now we can see you.
Thank you.
Yeah. We can't hear you now, unfortunately.
Okay, loud and clear?
Yes,
Great,
definitely.
thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Unfortunately, what's been happening on this committee is that this person has reduced the hours, and that position then has not got somebody else in to keep the hours up, that actual position in the council is needed. So, we are losing out in as much as we have less staff covering whatever that person was covering. So I think that's the concern as well. I think this is something that really should be looked into quite hard, because at the end of the day, we're trying to do what is best for the council. And if we're having limited time for certain officers, as opposed to when they were full-time, that doesn't seem fair on the staff that's already here having to cover, and for the people outside. So I really think that this is something, as I said, that has to be seriously looked into for the good of the staff as well. Thank you.
Councillor Thomas.
Yeah, I mean, Janice makes a point. It is something, though, that we do question during the discussion on each individual application. Laith is quite right. We can't force retirement on anybody due to age. It's under the various Equality Acts. It would be illegal, but we do question within this committee quite often, where it is a matter of concern, whether or not this would leave a particular service or particular office, department, whatever, short of hours. Very often it allows them to recruit part-time. And the answer we get is it allows them to recruit part-time to the vacant hours, to cover those hours, and also to allow for transition and training. So it is something which is questioned on an individual basis. Not always, but in my experience, quite often. Thank you.
Does any other member want to raise any issues over this? No, I can't see any hands. Councillor Charles, Gwyn John. Councillor John, you wanted to come in?
Yeah, I quite agree with what Councillor Thomas has said on this, and it's a difficult one, and we always treat each one individually, so I would agree with Councillor Thomas.
Councillor Thomas, what is your suggestion regarding this amendment? Do you think they should go back and relook at it?
I don't think it's necessary to go back and relook at it. I think the idea that we can delegate this to officers, to the management of the various departments when looking at their service needs and so on. But I think that their guidance, their guidelines needs to be quite clear on what it's just because someone's asking for early retirement. I mean, in a lot of ways, we can't refuse it either under the Act. When they've reached a certain age, there is an element of they're entitled to it, and so forth. But I think the guidance to the various officers who will be implementing this needs to make it very clear that the needs of the department have to be put on high priority, and succession needs to be included. I see Laith has now dropped off the call for a moment. I don't know if he's come back on, but looking at chat. But certainly, that element of it needs to be written in, and as a strong guidance to officers, to managers. Thank you.
Leith, did you want to come back in on that?
Yeah, so that's okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Hopefully this sounds a bit better, but we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I think Councillor Thomas has got a point there in terms of what we're trying to do as part of the scheme. The information obviously will still go through all the same channels as we would do as producing the flexible retirement reports for committee. So it'll still go through the managers, the HR business partners. It will go to the heads of service and directors for sign off even before it goes. So we'll still be asking all those relevant questions as part of the process, and we'll make sure that any thoughts around succession planning and how that's going to work over that flexible retirement period is going to work. So that obviously will continue anyway. We just had a look again at the flexible retirement terms on the local government pension scheme regs, regulations 2014. And all it does say is that applications for flexible retirement must result in a reduction of hours of at least 40%. Doesn't mention anything about a maximum sort of number of hours. So in theory, someone could reduce, as I think one of the reports says, from 37 down to 15 hours if that's agreeable by the committee. We say we don't get many of those sort of anyway, but that's obviously every now and then that does happen. And again, on terms of what we've mentioned then about the length of time, I would say probably the majority of cases we get do have a time scale of whether it's years. There's only very few that will come through that doesn't have an end date of the flexible retirement as well. But again, those will be reviewed as we get them.
Yeah, thanks for the rapid clarification on the reduction limits and so on. I think Janice's point about though some kind of stepped and firmed up succession planning with action taken on that is a good point.
Leith, do you want to come back in that? Can that be added or adjusted or what?
Yeah, I'm sure if we want to strengthen that in the policy to make sure that when we're looking at flexible retirement requests, that those are considered. I'm sure they are, but I suppose it will be, as you say, useful to put that in writing and make sure that's part of our succession planning and workforce planning, and make sure that is considered.
Yes, it's always
in that. Can I formally move that? Can I formally move that then as advice from this committee?
Councillor Charles, do you want to second that? Would you? Councillor Charles, you got your hand up.
All these buttons I got to press. Sorry. Yeah. I'd like to second that. Thank you, Neil.
Are all members agreed with that? I can't see anybody against. Nobody wants to make any more comments? No? So if that's agreed, we've all agreed to that, we can now move forward with it. I don't know whether it needs to come back to us to have a look at it. I'm not really sure.
Hello, Chair. I was just going to ask that very question. In terms of the recommendations, obviously that this is to be progressed through to next full council on the 29th of September. So can I just check whether or not that's still the path that this is intended to take, or whether there is something that needs to accompany that prior to that journey through to council?
Yeah. Who can answer that, please? Can't see anybody. Councillor Charles, you want to come back in?
Yes, please. Can if there's a deadline for the 29th of September, and this is to be rewritten before it goes to full council anyway, is it possible to have it sent to me so I can read it before full council? Yeah. If we can't come back to this committee.
And then we can clarify that, and then can't we? Yeah.
If I make a mention, in terms of the 29th, I think in terms of wanting to provide a clarity and ensuring the committee are content with the content, minded to potentially almost offer in terms of actually, I think we probably need to do some additional work on this one and probably almost agree in terms of principle the amendments to this amendments of the flexible retirement element on the proviso of the policy being strengthened and the guidance to the policy being strengthened, and some words into that effect, and within the recommendation itself. So if it's minded, I'll work with Leif in terms of circulating some draft just wording that we can look to include, and we'll circulate it with the committee, and if not in agreement before the 29th, we will probably seek to delay it for the next full council. So just to don't want to rush anyone into making a decision surrounding this type of change very much. If it takes additional time post 29th of September, then so be it. There will still be future iterations of council where we can have a bit more time to really work through this and make sure the committee are content with the direction of travel.
I don't like things being rushed through, but we have got another special full council on the 3rd of November.
Absolutely, and we'll have other means on the horizon, other channels on other changes on the horizon in terms of the constitution, just bits around the fringes. So we'll have opportunities to amend the constitution in future iterations of council. So if the committee are minded, we'd probably recommend they would take it off. Further explore it with Liv to ensure you're absolutely content with the words in. And if it's in place for the 29th and you're all content before then, fantastic. If not, then we'll delay it to future councils just to make sure you're all content as a committee, if that's okay with everyone.
Councillor Thomas, you've come on screen. Did you want to say anything?
None of this is actually time sensitive. It's a move forward in terms of efficiency, but it isn't crucial that it goes to next council. However, if we can get it in shape and in place quickly, with us all agreeing on the wording, then going to the next council meeting would be feasible. But there's no urgency to it, so it could go to the following one quite happily.
Are we all agreed with that? Could I see a show of hands? Oh, Councillor John, you want to come in?
Yeah, I quite agree with Neil. You know, I mean, I question the need to push it through so quickly. This should have been prepared a bit earlier. And certainly, you know, this could come to a later council meeting.
I agree with that. As I said, we have got another council meeting on the 3rd of November, so we don't have to rush things. We need to look at it.
I think the 3rd of November meeting, being a special meeting, is for one it's not like a normal one. It's a single purpose meeting, so it would be difficult to introduce an extra thing, and we don't have questions and things like that at that meeting. So it would be it would need to go to the next full council,
which would be December. Is it December?
Yeah, I think so.
That's correct.
Yeah. December the 1st.
I think so. Yeah.
Matthew, you wanted to come in? Did you want to say something?
I was just going to say it was the next council meeting after the November one is the December meeting, so it's not a huge amount of time between those two meetings. If committee were minded to have to agree the wording to any amendment before it went through to the next council, so that wouldn't be a problem. It was just to double check whether that circulation of wording was something that was going to come back separate to the meeting for members to agree, or whether it was going to come back to another meeting of ER&R so that could be discussed there and then formally sent through. It's just so that I'm clear on the path.
Councillor Thomas, you want to come in on that?
Yeah, trying to be helpful, to be honest. If it proves to be contentious and we have disagreement within the discussion or anything, or comments around these circulated suggestions, then I think it needs to come back to this committee for final decision here before it's presented to council. If, however, we are happy with the wording and happy with the way it's going forward, then it wouldn't need to come back to this committee, in that we would then all be agreed on taking it forward. I hope that helps.
Yeah, thank you, Vice Chair. With your agreement, Chair, I was just going to say, if there's something that we could circulate to members after the meeting so that could be considered prior to council papers going out for September, because that would be the beginning of next week. If it's something that can be agreed that way and committee are happy to do that, we could proceed along that basis. But obviously, the proviso would be that if committee weren't happy, we'd bring it back to committee at a later date so that it could go through a further discussion and agreement prior to going to council in potentially December.
I haven't got my diary in front of me. When is our next meeting set?
Bear with me for a second, Chair. The 23rd of October is our next meeting date.
Okay. Month away, yeah.
It's a month away. But obviously, if it wasn't possible to agree the wording to go through to the 29th of September council meeting, we could take something back to that meeting so that you could discuss it there. Yeah. And it would then obviously, if agreed, make its way onto the next available council meeting. Yeah. Obviously, it might be something that's very simple wording that could be agreed amongst members and can be included in plenty of time. It may only be a sentence or two that need to be changed, in which case it might be quite quick. But we've got the two separate pathways just so that we're clear as to how it's going to proceed.
Yeah.
If committee are happy.
It could be a bit rushed, couldn't it? Yeah.
We'll work on the 29th to start off with, Chair, and we'll see how we go.
Oh, and when the papers come out, can they actually highlighted the changes so we can actually recognise where it's going to be?
I'm sure that would be possible, Chair.
Yeah. Rather than just trying to search for everything. Okay.
Absolutely.
Are all members agreed with this? I can't see any. Oh, Councillor.
I think Janice is agreeing. Yes. Yes.
Councillor Charles, are you agreed to this? She's still got her hand up.
Can you hear me now?
She is.
Yeah. I still feel as though I'm being rushed on this, and I would like it to be able to discuss it once more.
Well, we'll see how it goes on, but I prefer it to come back to committee in the October meeting myself, personally.
Yes, yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. I agree with you, Councillor Drake.
Yeah. Oh, we all agree with that. I don't like rushing things too much. It's a too serious issue. Okay. Anybody against that?
Thank you, Chair. There's no hands raised for that. So seeing as that seems to be the consensus, that we'll ask for that amended wording to be put together and brought back to the committee meeting in October for further consideration.
I think that's the best idea. Yeah. Yeah. As I said, I don't like rushing things because you can miss things so easily, can't you? Yeah. Okay. Item number 6 is any items the chair has decided are urgent under part 1. I have no urgent items under part 1. Therefore, I'll move part 2. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Thomas, you were prepared to second this?
The hand was seconding. Sorry,
I think the hand was indicating that.
It's never quite clear, is it?
We'll get there. Don't worry. Right, we'll move on to part 2 and we'll pause while everything's switched off.
Thank you, Chair. But just bear with us for a moment while we put on the part 2 section of the agenda. Thank you.